Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel for another spine-chilling tale. Tonight we're heading deep into the forests of New Mexico, where a park ranger named Alex is about to learn that some rules aren't just for safety, they're for survival. This is I'm a park ranger in a haunted forest. There are strange rules to follow. And it's packed with creepy vibes and things that go bump in the night. If you're ready for a scare, grab a snack, turn off the lights, and let's dive in. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next part of this eerie adventure. The Black Mesa National Park stretched out like a dark, endless sea of pines, its air heavy with the scent of earth and something sharper, something old. Tucked in the remote corners of New Mexico, it was a place of jagged cliffs, misty trails, and whispers about things that didn't belong. Alex Harper, a 28-year-old park ranger fresh from training, loved the wild, but wasn't ready for how lonely this post would feel. He'd traded city lights for starlit skies, thinking the forest would be peaceful. 2 weeks in, he was starting to think it was something else, something alive, watching. His first day at the ranger station, a squat wooden cabin with creaky floors and a single radio, set the tone. Aloneatnight, the head ranger, a Navajo woman with sharp eyes and gray-streaked hair, handed him a map, a flashlight, and a folded note. "Read this," she said, her voice low, like she was sharing a secret. "Follow it. No exceptions." Alex unfolded the paper, expecting standard safety protocols, but instead found a list of rules in spidery handwriting. Don't answer if you hear your name called after sunset. If you hear footsteps but see no one, walk backward. Don't pick up strange objects on the trails. If you see yellow eyes in the bushes, don't look at them. Never leave the station after 10 p.m. Alex raised an eyebrow, waiting for the punchline. But Elena's face was stone. "This about bears or something?" he asked, half joking, but her eyes narrowed. "Not bears. Ye nulled Lushi, skinwalker. Break these rules, it'll find you." Alex had heard the stories. Navajo tales of witches who could turn into animals, steal faces, hunt souls, but he figured they were just folklore, like Bigfoot or ghosts. Still, Elena's tone, the way she gripped her coffee mug, made his stomach twist. That night, his first solo patrol, the forest felt different. The sun dipped below the cliffs, painting the sky blood red, and the temperature dropped fast, his breath fogging in the chilly air. Armed with a flashlight and a radio, Alex hiked the Juniper Trail, a winding path through thick pines, checking for signs of poachers or lost hikers. The quiet was heavy. No birds, no wind, just the crunch of his boots on gravel. He tried to shake off Elena's warning, but the rules stuck in his head, especially that first one about his name. Halfway down the trail, a sound stopped him cold. A voice, faint but clear, calling, "Alex!" from deep in the trees. His heart skipped. It wasn't Elena. She was back at the station, and no one else was out here. "Hello?" he called back, his voice echoing, but the forest swallowed it. Big mistake. The rules said don't answer after sunset, and the sky was now a deep purple, stars poking through. He gripped his flashlight, its beam shaky, and scanned the trees. Nothing but shadows, twisting like they had a mind of their own. Then came the footsteps, heavy, deliberate, crunching leaves behind him. He spun, the light sweeping the trail, but no one was there. His pulse raced, the second rule flashing in. His mind. Walk backward. It sounded crazy, but he tried it, stepping carefully, his boots slipping on loose dirt. The footsteps followed closer now, like they were right behind him, but the trail stayed empty. His radio crackled, static hissing, and a voice, not Elena's, growled, "Alex, come here!" It was his voice, but twisted like a bad recording. He broke into a run, the station a mile away, his flashlight flickering, the beam catching glimpses of pines and something else. Yellow eyes glowing in the bushes, tracking him. He looked away, remembering the fourth rule, but his skin prickled, like those eyes were boring into his back. The footsteps were louder, faster, not human, more like an animal's paws, heavy and quick. He stumbled, his boot catching a root, and fell, the flashlight rolling into the dirt, its light dimming. Scrambling to his feet, Alex grabbed the light, its beam landing on something at the trail's edge. A claw, not bone, but polished stone, carved with Navajo symbols, glinting like it wanted to be seen. The third rule screamed in his head, "Don't pick it up." But it was beautiful, almost calling to him. And he was tired, scared, not thinking straight. He grabbed it, the claw warm in his hand, heavier than it looked, and the forest went silent. No footsteps, no eyes, no voice. Just his own breathing, loud and ragged. He shoved the claw in his pocket and ran, the station's lights finally in sight, a beacon in the dark. He burst through the door, locking it, his hands shaking as he leaned against the wall. The radio was quiet, the cabin cold, but safe. He pulled out the claw, its symbols glowing faintly, like embers, and set it on the desk, guilt creeping in. Elena's warning echoed, "It'll find you." He'd broken 2 rules, answered the call, picked up the claw, and now he felt it, a weight, like the forest was closer, watching through the windows. He grabbed the radio, calling Elena, but static answered, laced with that twisted voice. "Alex." He dropped it, the claw pulsing brighter, and a new sound started. Slow, deliberate knocks on the station door. 3 heavy thuds, like something big was waiting outside. The rules didn't say what to do if it came to you, and Alex's heart pounded, the claw's glow filling the room, the knocks growing louder, more insistent. The knocks on the ranger station door came again, 3 heavy thuds, each one shaking the wooden walls of the cabin deep in Black Mesa National Park. Alex Harper stood frozen, his heart hammering, the stone claw on the desk glowing like a coal, its Navajo symbols pulsing in the dim light. The rules Elena had given him, don't answer your name after sunset, don't pick up strange objects, burned in his mind, and he'd already broken both. The claw, warm and heavy when he'd grabbed it from the trail, now felt like a mistake, a magnet pulling something closer. Outside, the New Mexico night was thick with fog, and whatever was knocking wasn't leaving. His flashlight flickered, the radio spitting static, and a whisper slithered through the air, his own voice twisted. "Open it, Alex." He backed away, his boots scuffing the creaky floor, eyes locked on the door. The rules didn't say what to do if it came to you, but every instinct screamed not to open it. The claw's glow brightened, casting jagged shadows that moved, curling like claws themselves. He grabbed the note with the rules, rereading it under the desk's weak lamplight, hoping for answers. Don't look at yellow eyes. Don't leave. After 10. It was past midnight now, the clock's tick loud in the silence, and he was trapped, the station feeling less like a safe house and more like a cage. A scrape came at the window, slow and deliberate, like nails on glass. Alex's breath caught, his hand tightening on the flashlight. He swung the beam toward the window, but the fog was too thick, a white wall outside. Then he saw them, yellow eyes, glowing through the mist, unblinking, inches from the glass. The 4th rule hit him. Don't look. He turned away, heart racing, but it was too late. A scream tore through the night. Not from the thing outside, but from him, his own voice echoing from the forest, like it had been stolen. "Alex, let me in!" it called, desperate, mocking, and the door rattled, the lock straining. He stumbled to the radio, fumbling with the dials, calling for Elena. "Elena, it's Alex, you there?" "Something's out here," static roared, and the voice answered, his voice growling. "Come play, Alex." He yanked the plug, the room plunging into silence, the claw's light the only thing keeping the dark at bay. His hand shook as he grabbed a knife from his kit, useless against whatever this was, but it felt better than nothing. The rules were failing him, and the claw, he should have left it, but it was here, and it was doing this. Desperate, Alex searched the station, pulling open drawers, looking for anything to help. In a dusty cabinet, he found a leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed, marked, John B. Gay, Ranger, 1983. His hands trembled as he flipped it open, the knocks outside slowing, like whatever was out there was listening. John's words were frantic, scrawled in black ink. The Skinwalker's reel. It started with a claw, like stone, carved with their signs. I picked it up, and it wouldn't let me go. It sees me, hears me, knows me. The rules are all we have, but they're not enough. Alex's stomach dropped. John had broken the same rule, and the last entry read, "It's at the door. I'm sorry." The claw pulsed, its heat spreading, the air sour like ash now. Alex slammed the journal shut, his mind racing. John had vanished, just like the stories Elena told, and now he was next. He grabbed the claw, meaning to throw it outside, to undo his mistake, but it burned his hand, not enough to blister, but enough to make him wince. He tossed it to the floor, and it skidded, stopping by the door, glowing brighter, like it wanted to be there. The knocks came again, faster, and the window shook, a shadow moving outside, tall and thin, not human, with legs bent wrong, like a coyote standing upright. Alex backed against the wall, the knife shaking in his hand. The shadow paused, its yellow eyes glowing through the window, and the voice changed, softer now, like Elena's. "Alex, it's me. Open the door." His heart lurched. It sounded so real, her calm tone, her slight accent. But the eyes gave it away, those unblinking yellow slits. He remembered the first rule, don't answer, and bit his lip, staying silent, though every part of him wanted to call out, to be sure. The shadow tapped the glass, once, twice, then laughed, a sound, like bones cracking, and the voice was his again. "You can't hide." He slid to the floor, clutching the journal, reading more of John's words by the claw's eerie light. "The claw's a lure," John wrote. "It invites the skinwalker, ties you to it. Burn it with salt, say the Navajo prayer. But it'll cost you." Alex's eyes darted to the kitchenette, where a salt canister sat by the stove. He crawled over, keeping low, the shadow still at the window, its claws scraping, the door rattling harder. He poured salt in a circle around the claw, his hands shaking, and grabbed matches from a drawer. But the claw moved, sliding an inch toward the door, like it was alive. He struck a match, the flame small but steady, and held it to the claw, whispering, "Please, work." The flame touched the claw, sizzling, but died instantly, snuffed out by a gust that came from nowhere. The shadow outside roared, a sound that shook the walls, and the door buckled, wood splintering at the edges. Alex poured more salt, piling it high, and tried another match, but the claw glowed red-hot, the room filling with a stench like rotting meat. The journal's words echoed. "It'll cost you." What did that mean? His life? His soul? Something else? The shadow moved to the door, its shape clearer now. Tall, hunched, with a coyote's snout but human hands, claws glinting. It knocked again, 3 times, and the voice was Elena's, then John's, then his, all at once. "Open it, Alex, or we come in." He grabbed the knife, ready to fight, but the claw slid again, stopping at his feet, its glow blinding. He kicked it, and it flew back to the door like a magnet, the shadow laughing, the walls creaking, like the station was giving up. Alex's eyes fell on the journal, a final note in John's handwriting. "It takes your voice, your face, your memories. Don't let it in." He realized the skinwalker wasn't just outside. It was already here, in the claw, in the voices, in the way his thoughts felt foggy, like something was slipping away. The door shook, the lock bending, and outside, in the fog, a figure stood. Not the coyote shadow, but a man, tall and familiar, wearing Alex's jacket, his face, his eyes, except they were yellow, glowing and smiling, waiting for him to open the door. The fog pressed against the ranger station's windows, thick and gray, hiding the figure outside that wore Alex Harper's face, its yellow eyes glowing like lanterns in the New Mexico night. The door shook under heavy knocks, the lock splintering, and the stone claw on the floor pulsed, its Navajo symbols searing the air with red light. Alex clutched the knife, his back against the wall. The journal of John Begay opened beside him, its words a warning. "It takes your voice, your face, your memories." The skinwalker wasn't just at the door. It was in his head, his voice, his reflection, smiling with his own lips but eyes that weren't his. The rules, don't answer, don't pick up strange objects, were useless now, broken, and the station felt like a trap, the walls closing in. "Alex, open the door," the thing outside said, his voice, his tone, like he was calling himself home. The claw slid closer to the door, scraping the floor, its glow blinding, like it was pulling the skinwalker in. Alex's heart pounded, his breath shallow, the journal's note about burning the claw with salt and a Navajo prayer his only hope. He grabbed the salt canister, pouring more around the claw, the grains scattering as the floor shook, the knocks turning to bangs, wood cracking. "You can't run," the voice said, softer now, almost a whisper. But it came from inside the room, behind him. He spun, the knife raised, and saw his reflection in a small mirror on the wall. Not his face, but the skinwalker's, yellow eyes, staring, mouth curled in a grin. His stomach lurched. He hadn't looked in a mirror since the trail, and now he knew why. The reflection moved, tilting its head, though Alex stood still, and it spoke, his voice. "Let me in." He swung the knife, shattering the mirror, glass shards raining down, but they didn't hit the floor. The pieces hovered, spinning, arranging into a Navajo symbol, the same as on the claw, a jagged spiral that burned his eyes. The claw pulsed, in sync, the air thick with a stench like wet fur and decay. Alex dropped to his knees, grabbing the journal, scanning John's words for anything to stop this. "It mimics to get close," John wrote. "It steals pieces of you, voice, face, memories, until you're empty. The claw binds it to you. Burn it, or it'll take everything." Alex's hands shook, his memories already foggy, his mom's laugh, his old dog's name, slipping like sand. He poured salt over the claw, piling it high, and struck a match, the flame trembling. "Go away," he whispered, touching the match to the claw. But the flame died again, snuffed by a cold gust. The skinwalker's laugh echoing from the door, now half broken, claws scratching through the cracks. The radio crackled, unplugged but alive, spitting his voice. "You're mine, Alex." He kicked it, the static dying. But the claw moved again, sliding to his feet, burning through the salt, its heat searing his boots. He grabbed it, wincing, and threw it across the room. But it flew back, landing in his hand, like it belonged. There. The door buckled, a clawed hand pushing through, long and thin, not human, the yellow eyes peering in. The doppelganger's face pressed against the gap, smiling. "We're the same now," it said. And Alex felt it. His thoughts slowing, his reflection in the broken glass shards showing yellow eyes, not his own. He stumbled to the desk, flipping through the journal, finding a Navajo prayer John had scribbled, words he didn't understand but had to try. "Hojuji, protect me," he read, his voice shaking, the Navajo syllables clumsy on his tongue. The claw dimmed, just for a second, and the banging stopped, the eyes at the door blinking, like the prayer heard it. Alex kept reading, louder. "Hojuji, cast it away." And the claw cooled, the shards on the floor falling, the symbol breaking apart. The skinwalker roared, a sound like a storm, and the door splintered, the creature halfway inside, its body shifting. Coyote, man, Alex, all at once, its claws reaching. Alex grabbed the salt, throwing it at the thing, the grains hissing on its skin, and it recoiled, the yellow eyes narrowing. He struck another match, holding it to the claw, chanting the prayer, his voice raw. The flame caught this time, green and wild, the claw sizzling, smoke curling like spirits escaping. The skinwalker screamed, its form flickering, the doppelganger's face melting into a wolf's, then nothing. But it didn't vanish. It backed, into the fog, its eyes still glowing, its voice in his head. "You can't burn me." The claw was ash now, the fire dying, but Alex's chest burned, like something had been torn out. His memories, his first hike, his dad's voice, were gone, replaced by shadows, by yellow eyes. The journal's warning was clear. It'll cost you. He'd hurt the skinwalker, maybe, but it wasn't gone, and he'd paid a price. The station was quiet, the door hanging by a hinge, fog rolling in, cold and damp. He grabbed the journal, his knife, and a flashlight, knowing he couldn't stay. The rules were broken, the claw destroyed. But the skinwalker was out there, wearing his face, knowing his fears. He stepped outside, the fog swallowing the station, the forest silent but heavy, like it was holding its breath. The trail led to the mesa, where Elena might be, but a new sound stopped him. A voice, not his, but familiar, calling from the trees. "Alex, help." It was Elena's voice, desperate, but he knew better now. The first rule, don't answer, kept his mouth shut, but his heart raced, doubt creeping in. What if it was her? The journal mentioned a place called Bone Hill, where the Navajo fought skinwalkers, marked on John's map. Maybe answers were there, a way to stop this. He took a step, then froze. Footsteps crunched behind him, slow and heavy. But when he turned, the trail was empty. The second rule, walk backward, came back, and he tried it, his boots slipping, the footsteps fading. But the voice called again, Elena's closer. Alex, please. He kept moving backward, toward Bone Hill. The journal clutched tight, his flashlight dimming, the fog thickening. Yellow eyes flickered in the distance, not one pair, but two, then three, watching, waiting. And Alex knew the skinwalker wasn't alone. It was playing a game, and he was losing pieces of himself with every step. The fog clung to the Black Mesa forest, thick and cold, swallowing the trail as yellow eyes flickered in the distance. Two pairs, then three, tracking every step. Alex Harper moved backward, his boots slipping on damp earth. The second rule, walk backward if you hear footsteps, but see no one. His only shield against the unseen things following him. The journal of John Begay was tucked under his arm, its map pointing to Bone Hill, a place where the Navajo once fought skinwalkers. Elena's voice, desperate and pleading, echoed from the trees. Alex, please. But he knew it wasn't her, the first rule keeping his lips sealed. His flashlight flickered, the beam weak, and the knife in his hand felt useless against the skinwalker that had stolen his face, his voice, and pieces of his memories. The footsteps behind him faded, but the eyes stayed, glowing through the fog, unblinking. His chest burned, the price of burning the claw back at the station, a chunk of his past, his mom's face, his childhood home, gone like they'd never been. The journal's warning was clear. It'll cost you. He'd hurt the skinwalker, turned the claw to ash, but it wasn't enough. The forest felt alive, the pines whispering, the air sour with decay. And those eyes were closer now, their glow, cutting through the mist. He clutched the journal tighter, its pages his only guide, and kept moving toward Bone Hill, praying for answers. The trail steepened, the ground rocky, littered with small bones, rabbits, birds, maybe more, that crunched, underfoot. The fog thinned, revealing a clearing ahead. Bone Hill, a barren rise dotted with jagged stones and piles of bleached skulls, some animal, some not. Navajo symbols were carved into the rocks, spirals and claws like the one he'd burned glowing, faintly under the moonlight. The air was heavy, like a storm was coming, and the eyes were gone. But Alex felt watched, the skinwalker's presence a weight on his shoulders. He scanned the journal's map, finding John's note. Bone Hill, where they trapped it, the claws from here, a piece of the curse. He stepped into the clearing, the ground soft, like it was breathing. A stone altar stood at the center, cracked and old, surrounded by a circle of bones. The journal described it, a place where Navajo elders sealed a skinwalker long ago, binding its spirit to a claw. Alex's stomach twisted. The claw he'd found was part of that curse, a lure to draw victims, and he'd picked it up, invited the skinwalker in. He searched the altar, his flashlight dimming, and found a new claw, larger, carved with deeper symbols, half buried in the dirt. The third rule, don't pick up strange objects, screamed in his head, but he had no choice. He grabbed it, the claw hot, heavier than the last, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat. A growl rumbled through the clearing, low and deep, and the fog swirled, forming shapes. Coyotes, wolves, then a man, tall and thin, wearing Alex's face, yellow eyes burning. You shouldn't be here, it said, his voice, but colder, sharper. Alex backed away, the claw in his hand, the journal's prayer in his mind. Hojuji, protect me, he whispered. But the skinwalker laughed, its form shifting. Now Elena, now John Begay, then a beast, all claws and teeth. You burned one claw, it said, circling him. But the curse is older than you. Give it back. Alex's hand shook, the claw's heat searing his palm. He remembered John's words. Burn it with salt, say the prayer. He had no salt, no matches, But the altar was here, the heart of the curse. He ran to it, the skinwalker lunging, its claws grazing his jacket, tearing fabric. He stumbled, dropping the journal, pages scattering, and slammed the claw onto the altar, chanting, "Hojuji! Cast it away!" The symbols on the rocks glowed brighter, the ground shaking, bones rattling like they were alive. The skinwalker roared, its form flickering, but it didn't stop. Its eyes locked on him, its voice in his head. "You're mine." He searched the ground, finding a flint stone near the altar, sharp and cold. He struck it against his knife, sparks flying, but they died in the damp air. The skinwalker closed in, its breath hot, its claws glinting, and Alex's memories faded. His first day as a ranger, his friends' names, gone. He struck the flint again, harder, sparks catching on the altar's dry moss, a small flame growing, green and unnatural. He held the claw over it, the fire licking its surface, the skinwalker screaming, its form unraveling, coyote to man to shadow. The claw sizzled, cracking, but didn't burn, its glow pulsing faster, like it was fighting back. The ground split, a crack running through the altar, and bones rose, forming shapes. Figures, not animals, but people, their eyes hollow, their whispers soft. "Free us." Alex's heart raced. They were victims, like John, trapped by the curse, their souls in the claw. He chanted louder, "Hojuji, end it!" And the flame surged, the claw splitting, smoke curling like spirits, escaping. The skinwalker staggered, its yellow eyes dimming, but it grabbed his arm, its touch ice cold, pulling him toward the crack in the ground, its voice a hiss. "You pay the price!" Alex yanked free, his arm burning, and kicked the claw into the fire, the flames exploding, green and white, the altar collapsing, bones falling back to dust. The skinwalker vanished, its scream echoing, but the fog didn't clear, and Alex's vision blurred, his body weak, like the curse had taken more than memories. He fell, the journal gone, the altar ruined, the clearing silent, but the air was still alive, the curse not broken, only weakened. The fog parted, revealing a path deeper into the forest, marked trail, maybe to Elena, maybe to answers. He staggered to his feet, his flashlight dead, the knife lost, only the prayer in his mind. Footsteps crunched behind him, heavy and slow, but the trail was empty. He walked backward, the second rule his only guide. The footsteps fading, but a new voice called. Not Elena's, not his, but John Begay's, rough and pleading. "Don't go deeper, Alex." He froze, the fog thickening, yellow eyes appearing, not in the bushes but ahead, on the path, leading to a dark ridge where the trees bent inward, like a mouth waiting to swallow him whole. The fog swirled around the dark ridge, where the pines bent inward like twisted fingers, their shadows swallowing the path ahead. Yellow eyes glowed in the distance, not one pair but many, leading deeper into the Black Mesa forest, pulling Alex, Harper, towards something he couldn't name. John Begay's voice, rough and pleading, "Don't go deeper, Alex," still echoed in his ears, but the trail was empty, the footsteps gone. The second rule: walk backward if you hear footsteps, but see no one, no longer enough. His flashlight was dead, his knife lost at Bone Hill, and the journal was scattered to the wind, leaving only the Navajo prayer in his mind, and a hollow ache where his memories used to be. The skinwalker had taken so much, his past, his voice, his face, and now it wanted the rest. The air was cold, sharp with the smell of wet earth and something fouler, like rotting flesh. Alex's legs shook, his body weak from the fight at Bone Hill, where he'd burned the second claw, cracked the altar, and freed the trapped souls, only to pay a price. More memories gone, his sister's name, his old apartment, erased. The curse wasn't broken, just angry, and the skinwalker was stronger, its yellow eyes closer, their glow cutting through the fog like knives. He clutched the prayer. "Hojuji, protect me," like a lifeline, whispering it under his breath. But the words felt thin, like they couldn't reach the ridge. The path narrowed, the trees closing in, their branches scraping his jacket, like hands grabbing. The eyes moved, not on the ground but above, in the canopy, darting between branches, and a voice came, not John's, not Elena's, but his own, soft and mocking. "You're almost there, Alex. He froze. The first rule: don't answer after sunset, keeping him silent. But his heart pounded, doubt creeping in. What if he was walking into a trap? Bone Hill had been a fight, but this ridge felt different, like the heart of the forest, where the curse began. A shape moved ahead. A deer, its antlers glinting in the moonlight. But its eyes were yellow, unblinking, and its legs bent wrong, like a man's. It stared, then spoke, his voice. "Come closer." Alex turned, ready to walk backward, but the footsteps were back, heavy, circling him. The trail gone, the fog a wall. He whispered the prayer, louder. "Hojuji," cast it away. And the deer thing laughed, its body twisting, growing tall, becoming him, his face, his jacket, but with claws and those eyes. "You can't pray me away," it said, stepping closer, its breath hot, its smile wrong. Alex ran, branches snapping, the fog parting to reveal a cave mouth at the ridge's base, hidden by vines, carved with Navajo symbols, spirals, claws, eyes. The journal's map had mentioned a cave where the Navajo sealed the skinwalker's spirit, and this was it, the source of the curse. He stumbled inside, the air damp, the walls slick, the eyes following, their glow lighting the cave like torches. The skinwalker's voice echoed everywhere, nowhere. "You brought me here, Alex." He realized it was true. He'd burned the claws, broken the rules, led it back to its origin, and now it was free, stronger. The cave deepened, bones littering the floor. Animals, humans, too many to count, piled around a stone table, not an altar but a throne, etched with the same symbols. On it sat a third claw, massive, glowing red, its heat filling the cave, its pulse like a drum. Alex's hand burned, the price of the last claw still fresh, but he knew this was the heart. The first claw, the one that started it all. The journal's words rang in his head. "Burn it with salt, with blood, with prayer, but it'll cost you." He had no salt, no fire, only his blood, his will, and a prayer that barely worked. The skinwalker appeared, not as him, but as a shadow. Tall and formless, yellow eyes blazing, its claws scraping the walls, sparks flying. "You can't stop me," it said. Its voice a chorus, his, Elena's, John's, and others, victims long gone. It lunged, its touch ice, and Alex fell, his arm bleeding from a scratch, the pain sharp, his memories fading faster, his training, his name, slipping. He crawled to the table, the claw's heat unbearable, and cut his palm with a jagged rock, blood dripping onto the claw, his voice hoarse. "Hozuji, end this." The cave shook, the symbols glowing, the claw cracking. But the skinwalker didn't stop. It grabbed him, its claws digging in, pulling him toward the table, its eyes in his, stealing more. His first kiss, his favorite song, gone. Alex fought, kicking, chanting, "Hajuji, cast it away." And the claw split, flames erupting, green and wild, the shadow screaming, its form unraveling. The bones on the floor rose, forming figures, not attacking but reaching, their whispers soft. "Thank you." They were the trapped, freed by his blood. But the skinwalker wasn't done, its eyes dim but alive, its voice a hiss. "You stay with me." Alex collapsed, the flames dying, the claw ash. But his body was heavy, his mind empty, like the cave had taken his soul. The skinwalker faded, its eyes vanishing, but the cave didn't feel safe, the air still alive, the curse weakened but not gone. He staggered to the entrance, blood dripping, his vision blurry, the fog outside waiting. The prayer was all he had, but it wasn't enough, and he knew it. The price was too high, his memories, his identity, maybe more. He stepped into the fog, the ridge silent, the eyes gone, but a new sound came. A voice, not the skinwalker's, but Elena's, real this time, calling from the trail. "Alex, where are you?" He wanted to answer, but the first rule stopped him, fear keeping him quiet. What if it was another trick? The cave's symbols glowed faintly behind him, a warning, and the fog parted, revealing a path back to the ranger station. But something moved in the trees, a shadow with yellow eyes. not attacking, just watching, waiting for him to slip again. The fog parted like a curtain, revealing the path back to the ranger station, its faint lights flickering through the black mesa forest. Alex Harper staggered forward, blood dripping from his cut palm, his body heavy, like the cave had drained. His soul, Elena's voice, "Alex, where are you?" still rang in his ears, but the first rule, "Don't answer after sunset," kept him silent, fear twisting his gut. Was it really her, or another skinwalker trick? The cave's symbols, glowing faintly behind him, burned in his mind, a warning that the curse wasn't gone, only weakened. The shadow in the trees, its yellow eyes watching, hadn't attacked, but it was there, patient, waiting for him to break again. His memories were shards, his family, his life before the park, gone, and the Navajo prayer, Hozuji, felt like a whisper against a storm. The forest was quiet, too quiet. The pines, looming, their branches clawing at the sky. The air was thick, sour with decay, and Alex's steps were unsteady, his vision blurry, the price of burning the third claw in the cave weighing him down. He'd freed the trapped souls, their whispers of thanks haunting him, but the skinwalker's hiss, "You stay with me," was louder, a promise that clung like damp fog. The path twisted, the station's lights closer, but the eyes followed, glinting in the shadows. Not one pair but dozens, circling, like the forest itself was alive, hunting. A branch snapped behind him, and footsteps, heavy, deliberate, started. The second rule, walk backward if you hear footsteps but see no one, his only guide. He turned, moving backward, his boots slipping on wet leaves, the footsteps fading, but a voice came, not Elena's, but his own, soft and cruel. "You can't go home, Alex." He bit his lip, refusing to answer, but the voice laughed, echoing. From the trees, joined by others, John Begay's, Elena's, strangers, a chorus of the skinwalker's stolen voices. The station was so close, its door hanging off its hinge from the earlier attack, but the fog thickened, the lights dimming, like the forest was trying to keep him out. He reached the door, stumbling inside, the station cold and dark, the radio, silent, the claw's ashes gone from the floor. The broken mirror's shards were scattered, reflecting nothing but shadows, and the journal was missing, lost at Bone Hill, or taken. Alex locked the door, though it barely held, and sank to the floor, his hand bleeding, his mind foggy. The rules were useless now, all broken. Answering the call, picking up the claw, looking at the eyes, and the price was his identity, his soul slipping away. He whispered, "Hojuji, protect me." But the words were hollow, the prayer, failing against the curse's weight. A knock came, soft at first, then louder. 3 deliberate thuds, just like before. Alex's heart raced, the first rule screaming in his head. But the voice outside was Elena's, real, urgent. "Alex, it's me. Open the door." He wanted to believe it, needed to. But the skinwalker's tricks, his face, his voice, made him doubt. He crept to the window, peering through the fog, and saw her, Elena. Her gray hair loose, her ranger jacket torn, but her eyes were hidden in shadow. "Alex, please," she said, her voice breaking, but something was off. Her hands, too long, fingers too sharp like claws. He backed away, grabbing a flashlight from the desk, its beam weak but enough to light the room. The journal was gone, but a note was pinned to the wall, in Elena's handwriting, one he hadn't seen. The skinwalker was born here, in the cave, a Navajo witch's betrayal. The claws are its heart. Destroy them all with blood and prayer, but one must stay behind. Alex's stomach dropped. One must stay behind. The price, not just memories, but a soul, someone to take the skinwalker's place. He'd burned 3 claws, but the curse was alive, and he was the one who'd broken the rules. The knocking stopped, and Elena's voice changed, his voice now. "You're already mine." The door rattled, claws scraping, and Alex knew it. Wasn't her. He searched the station, finding a small box under the desk, hidden, with a salt pouch and a flintstone, like Elena had prepared for this. He poured salt in a circle around himself, chanting, "Hozuji, cast it away." But the air grew colder, the flashlight flickering, and the mirror shards rose, spinning, forming the Navajo spiral again. glowing red, like the cave's symbols. Shadow moved outside, not at the door but the window, tall and shifting. Coyote, man, then Elena, its yellow eyes unblinking. It tapped the glass once, twice, and the station shook, the walls creaking like the curse was inside, not out. Alex struck the flint, sparks flying, and lit a small fire in a metal tray, the flames green, unnatural, the salt hissing. He chanted louder, his voice raw, and the shadow recoiled, its eyes dimming, but it didn't leave. Its voice in his head. You can't run forever. The note's words burned in his mind. One must stay behind. He realized the cave wasn't the end. The skinwalker's spirit was tied to the forest, to the claws, and he'd only broken pieces. The journal had hinted at a final seal in the cave's deepest chamber, where the witch's betrayal began. He had to go back, finish it, but the price terrified him, his soul, his life, or worse. The shadow tapped again, and the door buckled, claws pushing through. The skinwalker's form clearer, not mimicking now, just itself, a nightmare of teeth and eyes. Alex grabbed the salt pouch, the flint, and a broken chair leg for a weapon, knowing he couldn't stay. The station wasn't safe, the rules useless, the curse too strong. He slipped out the back window, the fog swallowing him, the shadow's roar shaking the trees. The path to the cave was clear, the yellow eyes leading him, not attacking but guiding, like the skinwalker wanted him there. Elena's voice called again, faint from the station. Alex, don't go. But he couldn't trust it. Couldn't stop. The prayer his only anchor. The cave his last chance to end this, even if it ended him. The fog swallowed Alex Harper as he stumbled through the black mesa forest, the path to the cave lit by yellow eyes that flickered like stars in the dark. Elena's voice. Alex, don't go. Faded behind him. But the first rule. Don't answer after sunset. Kept him quiet, his heart pounding with doubt. Was it her, or the skinwalker's trick? The salt pouch and flint stone weighed heavy in his pocket, the broken chair leg in his hand a flimsy weapon against the curse that had stolen his memories, his identity, and now wanted his soul. The cave loomed ahead, its mouth a jagged scar. In the ridge, Navajo symbols glowing faintly on its walls. The note's warning burned in his mind. One must stay behind. He knew the price to end the curse, and it terrified him. The forest was silent, the air thick with decay, the pines bending like they were bowing to the cave. Alex's body ached, his cut palm bleeding, his mind a fog where his past used to be. His family, his name, barely there. The skinwalker's hiss from the cave, "You stay with me," echoed in his head, a promise he couldn't shake. The yellow eyes led him inside, not attacking, but guiding, like the curse wanted him here. In its heart, the cave's walls were slick, bones crunching under his boots, the air cold and heavy, like it was alive. The symbols pulsed, spirals and claws, leading to a deeper chamber, where the Navajo witch's betrayal had birthed the skinwalker. Chamber opened, vast and dark, its ceiling lost in shadow. A stone circle at its center carved with symbols that burned red, like blood. A final claw sat there, not stone but bone, massive, glowing with a light that pulsed like a dying heart. Alex's breath caught. This was the first claw, the curse's core, where it all began. The journal's words, half remembered, were clear. Destroy it with blood, prayer, and salt, but one must stay. His hand shook, the salt pouch small, the flint his only fire, his blood already spilling. The skinwalker's presence was everywhere, the air vibrating, the eyes now countless, lining the walls, watching. A voice came, not his, not Elena's, but John Begay's, rough and broken. "You can't win, Alex." He spun, the chair leg, raised, but the chamber was empty. The voice in his head, the skinwalker's trick. Then it appeared, not a shadow or mimic, but its true form, tall, twisted, a mix of coyote, man, and nightmare, its body covered in matted fur, its claws glinting, its yellow eyes like suns. "You brought me home," it said, its voice a chorus of every soul it had taken, hundreds, maybe more. It didn't lunge, just stood, waiting, like it knew he'd break. Alex poured salt in a circle around the claw, his hands trembling, the grains falling like snow. He struck the flint, sparks catching on dry moss he'd scraped from the walls, a small green flame growing, unnatural, alive. He cut his palm deeper, blood dripping onto the claw, and chanted, "Hozuji, end this," his voice raw, the Navajo prayer his last hope. The symbols flared, the chamber shaking, bones rising from the floor, forming figures. John, others, their faces hollow, their whispers desperate. "Free us." The skinwalker roared, its form rippling, claws slashing the air, but it didn't cross the salt. Its eyes locked on Alex, stealing more. His first love, his dreams, gone. He pushed the claw into the flame, its bones sizzling, cracking, the fire surging green and white, the chamber glowing like a furnace. The skinwalker lunged, breaking the salt circle, its claws grazing his chest, cold as ice, pulling him toward the stone circle, its voice a scream. "You stay!" Alex fought, kicking, chanting, "Hozuji, cast it away!" And the claw shattered, flames exploding, the figures of the trapped souls rising, their hands reaching, not for him but the skinwalker, pulling it back, their whispers now a chorus. "You're done." The skinwalker's form unraveled, fur to ash, eyes dimming, but it grabbed Alex's arm, its touch burning, its voice in his head. "One stays." He felt it, his soul slipping, his body light, like he was fading. The note was right. Someone had to take its place, and he'd broken the rules, invited the curse. He staggered, the flames dying, the chamber still, the souls gone, the skinwalker a shadow, weak but alive, its eyes flickering, not defeated, only bound. Alex's vision blurred, his body collapsing, the price clear, his soul, not to die, but to stay, trapped in the cave, forever. He crawled to the entrance, blood trailing, the fog outside waiting, the forest silent. The prayer was gone, his voice weak, his name a whisper he couldn't hold. The skinwalker's eyes were there, in the fog, not attacking, just watching, like it knew he'd paid. A voice called, Elena's, real this time, from the trail. "Alex, hold on." But he couldn't answer. The first rule meaningless now, his strength gone. The cave's symbols dimmed, the curse sealed but not broken, and Alex felt it. He was part of it now, tied to the forest, to the skinwalker, forever. The fog hung heavy over the Black Mesa forest, a cold shroud that clung to the pines and hid the cave's mouth behind Alex Harper. He lay at the entrance, blood seeping from his palm, his body light, like his soul had been torn away. The Navajo prayer, Hozuji, was gone from his lips, his voice a rasp, his name a faint echo he could barely grasp. The skinwalker's yellow eyes were out there, in the fog, not attacking but watching, a silent promise that the curse wasn't gone, only bound. Elena's voice, real this time. "Alex, hold on!" Cut through the silence, closer now, her footsteps crunching on the trail. But Alex couldn't move, his strength drained, the price of the final claw's destruction clear. He was part of the forest now, tied to the skinwalker forever. The cave's symbols had dimmed, their red glow faded, but the air was still alive, humming with the curse's pulse. Alex's memories were gone, his family, his life before the park, his own face, replaced by shadows and those eyes. The note's warning, "One must stay behind," had come true. He'd burned the bone claw, freed the trapped souls, and bound the skinwalker, but it had taken him, not his life, but his essence, anchoring him to this place. The fog swirled, and Elena appeared, her gray hair wild, her ranger jacket torn, her eyes wide with fear as she knelt beside him, her hands shaking as she checked his pulse. "Alex, what did you do?" she whispered, her voice breaking, tears cutting through the dirt on her face. He tried to speak, to tell her about the cave, the claw, the price, but his throat was dry, his words lost. She pulled him up, her strength surprising, and half-carried him down the trail, away from the cave, the fog parting like it was letting them go. The yellow eyes stayed, flickering in the trees, not following but waiting, like the skinwalker knew it didn't need to chase. Elena's breath was ragged, her words tumbling out. "I told you to follow the rules, Alex. Why didn't you listen?" The ranger station came into view, its broken door swinging, its lights dead. Elena set him on the floor inside, locking what was left of the door, though it wouldn't hold anything out. She lit a lantern, its warm glow pushing back the dark, and found a first aid kit, wrapping his hand, her fingers steady despite her fear. "The skinwalker," she said, her voice low. "It's older than us, older than the forest. You heard it, I can feel it, but it's not gone. You paid too much." Her eyes met his, and he saw it. She knew what he'd lost, what he'd become. Alex forced the words out, his voice a croak. "The cave. The claw. It's sealed." Elena's face hardened, her Navajo heritage in her eyes. A mix of grief and resolve. "Sealed, not broken," she said. "The curse needs a keeper, someone to hold it. That's why John vanished, why you're like this." She pulled a small notebook from her pocket, her own, filled with Navajo prayers and symbols. "I should have told you more, prepared you. The claws were lures, but the cave's the heart. You stopped it, but you're part of it now." He wanted to ask what that meant, but his body was heavy, his mind slipping, like the forest was pulling him back. Elena chanted softly, a prayer like his. "Hojuji," but stronger, her voice steady, and the air lightened, the eyes outside dimming, though not gone. She helped him to a chair, her hand on his shoulder, and said, "You can't leave. Black Mesa, Alex. The curse won't let you. But I'll stay, keep it quiet as long as I can." Her words were a vow, but they felt like a goodbye, and Alex knew he wasn't the same ranger who'd arrived weeks ago. Days passed, or maybe weeks. Time blurred, his mind foggy. The park was restricted, trails closed, rangers avoiding the cave, and Bone Hill. Alex stayed at the station, his strength gone, his reflection in the broken mirror showing yellow eyes, just for a moment. Then his own. Tired and hollow. Elena burned sage, chanted daily, keeping the skinwalker at bay. But its presence lingered, a low hum in the forest, a shadow in the fog. A new ranger found a stone claw on a trail, small, glowing faintly, and Elena took it, locking it away, her face grim. The curse was quiet, but not dead. One night, a child from a nearby Navajo community drew a spiral in the dirt, the same symbol as the claws, her eyes distant, like she'd seen it in a dream. The elders whispered. The forest stirred, and a faint howl echoed too far to pinpoint. Alex heard it, felt it, his chest tightening, like the skinwalker was calling him back. He sat by the station's window, the fog outside thick, and saw them. Yellow eyes, not attacking, just waiting. A reminder that he was theirs, forever bound to the forest, to the curse. And that's the end of "I'm a park ranger in a haunted forest. There are strange rules to follow." What did you think of Alex's fight against the skinwalker? Would you dare to walk those trails knowing what's out there? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know if you've heard any creepy forest stories of your own. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss more spooky tales. Share this with your friends, and let's see who's brave enough to listen alone in the dark. Until next time, stay safe, and maybe follow the rules. Thanks for watching.